Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kelly, and this is my dog Phoebe. She was just gonna join us today. This is the channel that's all about teaching you how to create print-on-demand designs using Canva. So if you're new to print-on-demand and new to t-shirt selling and would like to see some useful videos and step-by-step instructions, stay tuned. All right, so in today's video, we're gonna be making this design here. It says, they whispered to her, "You can't withstand the storm." She whispered back, "I am the storm." This is a much more complex design, and it's gonna be using a lot of the different techniques that I've taught you in earlier videos. This design is going to use some text effects, some photo effects, background removal, and some frames. So it's gonna be a little bit more complex and on the longer side. But if this is something that you're interested in, please stick around. So as always, we're gonna start with our blank background, and it is 4500 by 5400 pixels, again, because that is the standard t-shirt design size for merch by Amazon. So that's just the way I prefer to design all of my designs. So for today, I'm gonna go ahead and start with a photo. So I'm gonna come up here to Elements, and you can see I was already looking for this earlier, but I'm looking for an African woman photo. So I clicked on that, I scrolled down, and I found this photo here. This is the one I would like to start with. So I'm just gonna click that. Okay, so here's what we're starting with. Now I want to give it more of a painted effect or an abstract effect. So the first step I'm gonna do is come up here to Edit Image. And I'm gonna go ahead and use some paint effects. Now in earlier videos, we went over how to use filters, I went over shadows. Today, we're gonna go over paint effects. So if I hit See All, you can see there's a lot of different styles that you can choose from. For today's design, I'm gonna use this one right here. So I'm gonna click on that. And it usually takes a second to load. Okay, so as you can see, it's a little intense, but I have some controls here that I can hit so that I can adjust this the way I like it. So I'm gonna hit C Controls, and you'll notice there's a high, medium, and low. So these options are available for all the paint effects. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on low. Okay, and then there is an intensity. So I'm gonna bring this intensity down until it is right about where I want it. And I'm just gonna go about halfway or so. I want it to have a painted effect, but I want it to still look like a photo. So I'm gonna hit Apply and give it a second here to finalize. Perfect. I don't know why I did that. Hit Apply again. Okay, so now I've got the image I want, I've edited it so that I have kind of the effect I want. Now I want to go ahead and remove the background. So we showed you this earlier. I'm gonna hit that, come up to Edit Image, and I'm just gonna use the background remover. So this should get rid of the black box behind her. Perfect. All right. Give it a second here. Perfect. Okay. So now that I have this, I'm gonna be adding some text. So I'm gonna change this background color to black. Okay. And for this, I'm gonna be cutting this photo in half. So to do that, you click on it and we're gonna drag these edges until we have cut the photo in half. Right about there. Perfect. And I'm gonna bring it down, bring it up, resize it so that it is taking up, there we go, a good half of the frame. So I'm gonna have the photo on one half and I'm gonna have some words on the other half. So first thing I'm gonna do is pull up a text box. Okay. And my first word is gonna be they. And of course you can't see it because it is black. So let's change the color. I think we will go with, I'll put this little red color here. That's a little dark. I'll make it white for now and then we'll change the colors later. So I am going to make this a little bit bigger. Bring it up. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to make another text box. This time I'm going to put whispered. Perfect. Another text box. This is going to say to her. Another text box. It's going to say you can't. Next one, we're going to go with withstand. Okay, so you can probably see that I have done the top text in capitals, but I put withstand in lowercase. You'll see when I select the font that I want to use that I'm going to use a script font with this word. Typically, script fonts do not look good when they're in all caps, so I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to go back to all caps here. I'm going to put the storm. Okay, and then it's going to say she whispered. I'm going to get that all on one line, starting to get big. Another text box. It's going to say back. Now, as you can see, these are really big. They are going to change once I select the font that I want for each. And I'm going to do each of these lines in a different font. But I want each one of them separate so I can edit them individually. Almost done here. Back, and this one's going to say I am. And then the last text box, I'm going to do this one in lowercase, the storm. Okay, so I have the text that I want. It's a bit of a mess right now, but bear with me. I am going to start at the top and work my way down. So I'm going to start with they. I am going to pick a font. So coming up here, this is where it kind of helps to be familiar with some of the fonts that you like. Easy searches would be narrow fonts, wide fonts, script fonts. So that's kind of what I went through with this. So the first one I wanted was a little bit wide. So I'll just show you if I hit wide. It's going to give me a bunch of different options. And again, I can try out a lot of them. I'm going to scroll down until I find the one that I want. Let's see if I can find this. Is it this one? No, close. Still scrolling. Here we go. It is that one. Okay. So I'm starting with they, and I'm going to bring this down. And that is my first word. Next, I'm going to go with whispered. This one I'm going to need to be a lot more narrow because it is a very long word. So instead of wide, this time I'm going to hit narrow and search again. And this time I'm just going to go ahead and boom, like that. Oops. And we shrink it down until it fits. I'll make them all fit better later once I get all the text that I want. To her, again, I'm gonna look for another text. If you happen to know the ones that you want, you can just type in the title of the text too. Sometimes that's a lot easier than having to search. And so sometimes it can take me quite a while searching through to find the ones that I like. And take your time. I mean, you want it to be a good design, so no need to rush through any of these. If I don't find, I'm just gonna go ahead and type in the name. There we go. So I want that one. And, oh, okay. You can't. Next. There we go. For the sake of time in this video, I've gone ahead and looked up the fonts that I want to use so that I can just type them in to save a little time. Otherwise, you, like I said, can be searching for a long time. So, stand, I wanted to use blackout. Blackout regular. There we go. And I'm doing all of these in different fonts. So, the Storm, Formula Bold. There we go. Perfect. She Whispered. Obviously that one has to be really narrow. She Whispered is Moser. There we go. Shrink it way down. And next, back. And that is Bio. Almost done. And another wide one. And we're gonna go with Inks are bold again. Semi-bold. And lastly, the Storm is Yesteryear. Okay, perfect. So now you can see I've got a lot of different fonts here. So now it's all about playing with the size and lining them up the way that you like. This is where these bars at the top and on the sides come in handy. So I think I showed you how to get these in an earlier video, but if you go up to File, you will find them here under Show Rulers and Show Guides. So if you click those, now we've got a nice guide that we can use. So if I was to click on the edge here, I can drag over a guide. And so let's say I want a gap right about here. Now I'm going to take my text and I'm going to slide it over, size it however I want to make it so that it lines up with this line. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with the top. And I like that. So I'm going to try to get everything to line up more or less with the top word. So this one, again, lined up pretty good. Okay, pretty good. You can't. Okay, this one's going to have to shrink in a little bit. Perfect. Keep going. Stand. This one's gonna have to shrink a little bit. Storm. This is gonna have to shrink again a little bit. Back. And the Storm. And that's gonna have to shrink down a little bit. Okay. So now they're more or less the size that I want. I also have to worry about arranging them vertically so that they're kind of evenly spaced. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring the storm down a little bit so it's more at the bottom. I already have they kind of where I want at the top, and so now I'm just gonna play with the spacing here a little bit. Give a little bit more space to some of these. Maybe bring that down. Bring that one down a little. Bring that one down a little. Bring that one down a little. Okay. So you can see, you can just sort of play with these however you like until they look, you know, more or less spaced out. Now, depending on how specific you want to get, you can do really fine kind of almost micro movements using your arrow keys. So again, I think I mentioned this in an earlier video, but if you see, let's start with withstand. The W slightly goes past this line here. So if I wanted to move it to the right just a little bit, I'm just going to keep hitting my arrow keys, and it is going to move it 1 pixel at a time until it is right where I want it, and that is pretty good. It's right on the line. And I've got you can't. I can move that one a little bit over using my arrows until it is right on the line. Whispered, and again, move it over. And everything else looks pretty good. All right, so I like the look of that so far. I'm gonna lose my guideline. I don't need that anymore. So I want to put another image behind her. This time I want it to be kind of a circle with a little bit more of kind of a traditional African pattern. So to do that, I'm gonna go ahead and use my frames. So here I'm gonna come up to elements, and this time I'm gonna search for frames. And I'm gonna click frames. Perfect. Now again, I showed you how to do this also in an earlier video, but I am looking for kind of a half circle here. So I'm gonna see if they have a half circle that I like. I know there's a few. So I can do this one here. That's a half circle there. Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and use this one. So now I'm gonna lose frames, and this time I'm just gonna go ahead and put in African pattern. See what comes up. I have to use photos again because I'm using frames, and I'm just gonna pick one of these patterns, kind of like this one here. So I'm just gonna drop it in, and now I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna rotate it, I'm gonna resize it. Yeah. You'll see when I get this how I'm doing it. I'll bring it down, and this time I'm gonna send this all the way to the back. So send to back, and there, now you can see she's got a pattern behind her. So it's looking pretty good so far. I know it's taken a little while to get this much, but you know, I told you it was a more complex design. This time we're gonna pick some colors. So I'm gonna go with some of these traditional colors here. I'm gonna click on they. And so I like some of the colors that I've seen here. If I go with some of the more traditional red, yellow, green, there's no greens in here, but I can bring some in. I'm just gonna start with that. Now I like red, it's a little darker than I'd like. It's not gonna pop as much, so I'm just gonna take that color, I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter, and I'm gonna put a shadow behind it so it can pop better, but I'm gonna start with that. And I think we are gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do these top 3 lines in red. I'm gonna do the bottom 3 lines in green, and I'm gonna do the middle 4 lines in yellow. So I'm gonna get that kind of color flow that you typically see in some of the African designs. So I'm gonna hit whispered, and I'm just gonna select the same red to her. I'm gonna select the same red. Now I'm gonna go ahead and switch. I'm gonna go you can't, and this time I'm gonna be selecting, which one of those do you like? That one, that one. I'll go with that one. Withstand. I'm gonna select the stone. I'm gonna select, yeah, we'll do one more line here. We'll do this one. Okay, and then now I'm gonna pick a green. This time I actually have to find a green that I like. So I'm gonna bring it back over and a little brighter. Let me think. That'll do. Yeah, okay. And I'm just gonna repeat and repeat. Good. So now it's really coming along. So the last step that I want to do to make these words pop a little bit more is I'm just going to go ahead and add a white shadow to them, just so that they can kind of contrast with the black background a little bit more. So starting at the top again, I'm just going to hit effects, and we are going to go with shadow. I'm going to switch the color to white. I'm going to lose the transparency. And I'm gonna bring it down until I just have a nice light shadow. So I'm gonna do something like that. And I'm gonna repeat that for every single word. Oops. Okay. Effects, shadow, white, no transparency, bring it down. Looks pretty good there. And repeat. Pretty good there. Okay, so it looks pretty good to me. So I think I'm gonna leave it alone. So I'm just gonna go ahead and title it here. And I am just gonna title it, I Am the Storm, because that's a lot to write. And there you have it. So now it is ready to download and put on, again, any shirt color you like. I'm gonna hit download. Transparent background, and there you have it. That's it for today's video. If you found that useful and you would like to see some more videos, please hit like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any of the weekly videos. As always, keep growing and stay creative, and we'll see you next time.